to go to another window, the Personal Learning Environment Template class, and click on that, and show you that I already have a sample PLE already set up, my personal one right here, and what we're going to do is add to this. Alright, so I double click on mine, and now we can see that the blue mark is around this page down here, which is under my name. Okay, so we are working on this one. So let's start adding some pages to this. If I come up here and click on the plus page, notice there's Bruce Kramer page 1 and page 2 down here. If I go back to groups and edit groups, I now see I have another page there. Let's just rename this page. So I click on it, hit the drop button, hit rename. You're going to want to have a home page. Okay, this is where you can put information about yourself. We can scan pictures. You can have different things that kind of tell you about who you are. Okay, how you like math or don't like math. The next page you might want to rename and call it your course page. Let me see, where is that? Rename, and say you're in algebra. So there's your course page, algebra 1-1, and we enter that. Then you're also going to want to create some spur pages and that type of thing. And the spur is skills, properties, uses, and representations. But the thing is, I already have one created up here in the sample. So if we right click over here and I clone the page, now I have two, but I can take this one and put it down there. Notice I'm starting to create my personal learning environment using some other ones that already have been created. And let's say I want the R2D2 one, and I clone that page and drag that down here. Okay, and let's say I come up here, I want to include all these together, so I'm going to clone that page, drag this one down. Okay, this spur in R2D2 makes a matrix that we'll see later on, but basically what I'm doing is I'm populating my personal learning environment with things that already have been created that make things easy. I've made blank pages and just utilizing a lot of available resources already there. Okay, so let's say I go to my home page and I want to make it personalized. Now we're going to start working some of these buttons up here. First of all, go to text and I want to put my name in it. Let's say I like that color. Click there and type in my name. Okay, so we click outside of it. There's my name. Now say I don't like the size of it, or I want to put some other things in. I'll click outside. You always have to go to the select tool in order to do anything else, because since I had the text tool on and I clicked again, it started opening up another text box. But you go to select tool in order to make changes. Here's some nice features about this. I can grab this and change the size. I grab this one and change the rotation. This one here, I can make a copy of it or a clone of it, and I can flip it. Let's say I flip it up and down. There's my name up and down. There's all sorts of things that you can do it. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. If I clone it, it makes a second one, and this is nice if you're making a lot of different shapes, or say you're doing a tessellation. This is a great way of making tessellation, tiling the plane with different figures and that. And finally, since I don't want two of those, I can go and delete it. Okay, see how that's working for you? You can put all your personal information. Say I go back to text, go to here, click on, and start typing in personal information. Now, what if you don't like typing all the time? Say you want to draw. Come up here, pick a pen. Say I want the red pen, and I type in cool. So it's easy to write. But say after a while you didn't want everything in writing, you want to print it out, make it look real professional, you can click on that drop down, and it has a recognition. It can recognize things as table or shapes and that type of thing. And notice it recognized that I wrote the word cool. As soon as I click on that, it changes it into the word cool, and then I can change the size quite easily. So if I want to add some shapes to it, grab this shape, click and drag to get the way you want it to look like, and then let go, and then you have your shape. So you can make all sorts of shapes. If I didn't want that second shape, click on it, select button, remember again, and hit the delete button or the drop down. I can then take this and I can move it like, oh, let's say I move it here. All of a sudden some of that stuff doesn't look where I want it, but I can kind of do that and start reshaping things. So very versatile, and I want you to play with this in order to make things the way you want them. Okay? Now, if I come up here and hit this over button, I came to another blank page called Algebra 1. You can put all the objectives that you want to put in here. So we go and type on, type your objectives, and you can list all those in. You can write them in later on, move them around. Oops, remember I gotta always hit the select button. That's one thing you always will have to remember. You have to go back and click that select button. Sometimes to have this right next to you is a good reminder too. Okay, what's next? If we go on to our next, here's our SPUR objectives. What are the skills in algebra that you need to learn? So, and what you're working on, you write them down. What are your properties? What are your uses? And what are your representations? I have a different video that helps you learn about that if you need to. Matter of fact, later on I'll have a link right in here for you to go find that. Okay, then if we go to the next one, here's the R2D2, read and reflect, display and do. And remember, you just drag these down. What do you have to read about in Algebra 1? The order of operations, step by step. What do you have to reflect about? Maybe you, in here you say, you know, Mr. Kramer, I don't understand about why I would use this. Write that down and I can answer that. Down here in displays, if you have different graphs and different work, that maybe you have a project that you have to make a poster explaining something, that's something that you're displaying. And something that you're doing with it, you're going to use a geoboard, or you're going to make a tessellation or something like that that takes math concepts and puts it together. So all your activities will fall in one of these areas. Reading, you might just put the textbook area or some other part that I have in there. And here's a matrix: is what do you have to read about your skills? What do you have to read about your properties? So all what you want to do is you want to put some activity or some resources in each one of these matrices. Okay, and you can come in here and type. Maybe you might click in here and you go for a smaller font, click in here and you say, I am going to read the examples in the book. Okay, looks like I forgot the examples in the book. Okay, in order to understand something. If I don't like the fact that, I can hit the enter, click outside of it, go back up to here. Didn't like the size, so I can resize it and put that in there. Okay, read examples in the book. Okay, maybe displaying is do the homework. Do the homework problems. And then you get that list going there. Okay? And you can put all sorts of activities. This whole thing should be filled with, and up in here you can type in what objective you're doing, like say order of operations. Okay, so in that table will grow accordingly and everything can be put in. Sometimes, since this is all for order of operations, and you can keep bringing that template down to another one and you can put all the activities that you're going to do to learn this. Reflect is one that people forget quite often. If we click in reflect, we might type in a question like, does order matter when doing things? Okay, that's a good question. Well, let me ask you this. Oops, I made an error there. Okay. Does order matter when doing things? Well, do you brush your teeth and then go eat, or do you eat and after you eat you brush your teeth? So does it matter if you multiply first and then subtract, or should you subtract first and then multiply? Will you get different answers? So that's a reflection type thing. Or how can I use these certain properties in a way in some other part of my life, like balancing equation is important to balance other things in your life, and is some of the things that you use in each helpful. So those are some reflection things. You also might reflect on how can I set up my personal learning environment to help me better do my math. So there are all the things that you can work at putting together. So one other page, I need to add a new page, so I come up here,